Hello, it's Toby here from the Team Geeks, and today I'm going to run through my Dark World appropriate build. It's fairly similar to most Dark World decks, except it focuses around the trap card appropriate, which I'll get to when I get to, and yeah, I'll just explain each of the effects as we go through. So the kingpin of the deck, kingpin of the deck is Growlithe Dragon of Dark World. He's 2700 base attack. With the field spell out, he goes up to 3000. If he's in your graveyard, which is kind of where you want him, unless he's not on the field, and you summon any Dark World monster, you can return that Dark World monster to your hand to bring him onto the field by a special summon. When he's discarded from your hand by a card effect, you destroy any one card on the field. So that's a superb card. You can run gold or gold and silver, or just silver. I run 2 gold Woolord of Dark World, 2300 attack. When he's discarded by your own effect, he's special summoned to the field, and by an opponent's card effect, you can target up to 2 cards they control and destroy them if it's done by an opponent's card effect. But in most Dark World decks, unless you're playing a mirror match, it's unlikely that they're going to be discarding your cards, but you never know. 3 snows. These are your searchers of the deck. When they're discarded by a card effect, you get any Dark World card to your hand. So you're often going to use it to search out Gates, Dealings, or Growlithe. 2 brown. When they're discarded, you get an additional draw. 2 gorilla and 2 Gren. Gorilla, when they're discarded, they destroy monsters, so kind of like a mini Growlithe. And when Gren are discarded, they destroy 1 spell or trap each. So again, mini Growlithes, they're just mini cards to pop away anything that your opponent might have to stop you. And they are surprisingly useful. Also, you can always just summon one and bounce it back for a Growlithe. Okay, this monster is going to be discarding a lot of your cards. Trance Archfiend. You play Trance Archfiend, you discard 1 card, 1 Fiend monster each turn, and then this card will gain 500 attack, upping him to 2000, which is a really nice mark to have in this deck. So you could use him, just discard Growlithe, or discard Gorilla or Gren, destroy an opponent's card, and then you've got a 2000 beater on the field. Also, when he's sent to the graveyard, if you have a card removed from play, which is often not where you want your cards, like Growlithe, you don't really want them removed from play, they're added back to your hand, so that's fantastic. Now this card is either going to completely save you in a game or going to completely ruin you in a game. Fabled Raven. And the reason it's so love-hate is because if you use its effect properly and don't waste all of your resources in one go, then you'll be fine. But often there's the urge to use up all your resources in one go, and then Raven is somehow stopped, and you're left with absolutely nothing to fall back on. Raven's the only light monster of the deck, so if you wanted to add in Chaos cards, you could. Personally, I stray away from it because there's only 2 of them. They gain 400 attack for each card discarded, and you can discard as many cards as you like from your hand once per turn. He's also a tuner, which completely opens the game up to synchro monsters, so it can be very helpful. Often I'll use Raven to discard Gold summon. He's upped a level because if you only discard 1 card, the other thing is level changes, so he'll become level 3 with level 5, goes into level 8 like Stardust or Scrap Dragon or something. But often you might just want to leave him on the field because he'll have pretty good attack stats after he's discarded a few monsters. Dark Arm Dragon. It's kind of a well-known card. It's a beast on the field, and often you won't have too many dark monsters in your grave. Hopefully they'll all be in your hand until the latter half of the game. Morphing Jar, fantastic card in Dark World. The only risk is you're going to play a mirror match, but absolutely brilliant and recommended because you can chain appropriate to it. So this is the card I'm going on about, appropriate. You can chain this. When your opponent draws outside of their draw phase, you draw 2 cards. So let's say your opponent attacks Morphing Jar. You can chain 1 appropriate, so you'll be drawing 7. Then, if they activate a card that allows them to draw again, you could chain a 2nd appropriate, meaning you draw an additional 4 cards. There is the risk to overdraw, but normally with this deck you seem to either win the game or finish the game before you draw out. I haven't had it happen too often, but I have had occasions where I'm down to the last 5-6 cards, and you don't really want to use all of your draw power in this deck because you may well run out of cards. The only other traps is Deck Devastation Virus. Now, when you use Appropriate to get out a big hand, you want this on the field set. It screws over so many decks, and with the field spell in play, he's a target. Golbu's a target. Trance Archfiend's a target once it's used its effect, and of course Growlither's a target. And you have 3 of each of these cards. And of course, yeah, Dark Arm Dragon's a target as well. So you've got plenty of material to use, and for 3 whole turns, your opponent can't have anything with 1500 or less. In this, they managed to special summon it. Brilliant, brilliant card. 3 gates. They're less useful, I feel, in this deck as they are in normal Dark World decks, but they're still pretty amazing. 300 point bonus to any Dark World monster, plus once per turn you can banish is it a fiend or a fiend monster from your grave, discard a fiend monster, so if it's a Dark World you get its effect, and then draw an additional card. 3 Dark World dealings, pretty much staple for any Dark World deck, but again you can chain Appropriate to it because it will force your opponent to draw out. The way it would work is you would draw your card, you would discard, and then you would draw 2 more. 1 Day of Peace. You want to play this out earlier on in the game, not later on, because you don't want to run out of cards, because you want to set up your big field and then go for the attack. So this is an early on card, and you've got 3 of these. And again, chain Appropriate to them. And even if you don't get Appropriate out in a game, it's still a really good standalone deck. But Appropriate does help a lot. Card Destruction is the other big card that can really turn a game around, especially if you've got Appropriate face down. And a bunch of Dark Worlds in your hand. You get so many effects, you can really set up a brilliant field and annihilate everything your opponent has with this card. 2 of the big spell cards, Monster Ball and Dark Hole, and then 2 MST, just to suppress your opponent some more. And that's the whole deck. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of this Appropriate build, and see you later.